Global strategies are a purely niche product, but this niche is so deep and vast that entire historical epochs, planets, and even galaxies fit into it. This genre is all about empire building, gigantic scale, and harsh micromanagement. Field of Glory, Empires, a turn-based strategy that includes several dozen playable factions, the choice of which determines the starting position of players on the global map, their advantages and weaknesses. The gameplay is largely borrowed from Total War, with the exception of battles. Battles between armies take place automatically if you do not have Field of Glory 2. Empires trade, forge alliances, and declare war on neighbors through diplomacy systems, fight for possession of promising provinces, and develop cities, increasing faction wealth and human resources. Despite the more than mediocre appearance, the game is able to please fans of grand strategies with a deep military component. Europa Universalis 4. In the list of the best global strategies, this game naturally takes first place. Compared to other games in the genre, Europa Universalis 4 is much more complex, wider, and more realistic. Political intrigues, espionage, dynastic connections, a well-thought-out economy, and a trading system. You will not find a more complete simulator of a medieval ruler. This is the pinnacle of Paradox Interactive's activities and has served as a model for other 4X strategy developers since 2013. Yes, the threshold for entering the game is extremely high, but if you have the strength to break through hundreds of incomprehensible buttons and tabs, you will have a unique opportunity to immerse yourself in the intricacies of medieval European politics. Crusader Kings 3. The second part of the series is a simulator of a wise ruler, the events of which unfold in the period from 1066 to 1453. Paradox Interactive went for a bold experiment. Instead of leading a nation-state, we are offered to manage dynasties, which, upon closer examination, are a huge snake ball consisting of intrigues, grievances, hereditary disputes, and dynastic marriages. At the bottom of the food chain are counts with small plots of land. Dukes are higher, kings are even higher, and at the top, the emperor rules. To feel comfortable in this mess, you must simultaneously be a master of political acrobatics, a virtuoso spy, and a brilliant military strategist. This is not the best strategy from Paradox's, but definitely the most unusual. On September 1, 2020, the long-awaited Crusader Kings 3 was released. The project brought with it a huge amount of content, a reworked troop system, and technological progress. The game has become friendlier to beginners, has received improved optimization, and a huge amount of positive feedback. Civilization 6. The sixth part of Civilization did not bring revolutionary changes to the series. The Firaxis studio is slowly but surely moving the series forward without sudden gestures. It's still the same good old civilization with a scientific race, the expansion of cities, and extremely active diplomacy. Of the innovations, the most noticeable is the zoning of cities, which in turn leads to their specialization. As usual, there are several ways to win here: cultural, scientific, diplomatic, military. The latter, of course, is the most interesting, but also the most difficult, since it requires a huge investment of resources and time. If you're new to the cycle, Civilization VI is a good opportunity to try your hand at being a historical ruler. Age of Civilizations 2. Only one person is involved in the development of this project, Lukasz Jakowski. Of course, the graphics of Age of Civilizations 2 are noticeably inferior to most of the competitors that huge studios worked on. But in terms of scale, depth of gameplay, and realism, Jakowski's project easily beats mainstream 4X strategies. Here you can start playing as a small tribe at the dawn of civilization and lead them to world domination in the post-industrial era of the distant future. At the same time, despite the seriousness of the project, the author sometimes shows an excellent sense of humor. The only thing this game lacks is a multiplayer mode. Medieval Kingdom Wars. This interesting hybrid of a global strategy and RTS in a medieval setting has several features at once, which greatly distinguish it from its competitors. The first and main one is a tough hardcore, which manifests itself in the constant autosave in the same save game without the ability to replay even one battle. Another interesting feature is the dynamic weather system, which directly affects the course of your battles. Finally, purely visually, the game differs from most analogs in scale and detail. In cities, you can see every building in the army, every fighter, and when loading your soldiers into a transport, they will take up space on its deck. Total War: Three Kingdoms. Few people already remember that the history of the Total War series began with Shogun, a game released in an Asian setting. Of course, medieval, Rome and other games about European history brought worldwide fame to the franchise. But the creative assembly sometimes returns to its roots, releasing parts of TW dedicated to the history of the East. Released in the winter of 2018, Three Kingdoms will allow us to take part in the battles of the legendary period of the Three Kingdoms, when there were three warring states on the lands of modern China. The main feature of the game can be called a romantic mode, the plot of which follows the classic novel Three Kingdoms. In it, some generals behave just like those same kensei from the first Shogun, single-handedly defeating hundreds of enemies. Forge of Empires. A global browser strategy game following in the footsteps of civilization. Players take part in a race of factions as they race through entire eras, from the Stone Age to the Space Age. Users start the game at the head of a small settlement, gradually expand their holdings, fight each other in turn-based confrontations, or make strategic alliances. You can trade with neighbors, exchange resources, help in construction or rob. And by uniting in guilds, players receive additional bonuses, can participate in joint expeditions, and build great structures. Egypt: Old Kingdom. A grand strategy game set in an Egyptian setting with charming art and plenty of room for opportunity. Players find themselves in the historical period for 3,500 years BC to build a great state and design the very pyramids to your taste. Users will have to interact with the population, explore the world around them, trade and capture new lands through expeditions, bring offerings to ancient deities, and deal with natural disasters. Victoria 2. A global strategy set between 1836 and 1936. The player takes control of one of the several hundred states represented, manages its finances, the army, makes alliances with neighbors, or, on the contrary, goes to war against them with the support of alliances. The main emphasis in the project is on domestic politics and the complex system of the economy. The game features 8 possible forms of government, from democracy to fascism, and the development of the country will be influenced by factors such as the public views of the population, their level of literacy, nationality, or religious preferences. Humankind. The authors of Humankind clearly sat at the same desk with the creators of Civilization 6. Compare the screenshots yourself. This is also a historical strategy, and its feature was the ability to mix different historical cultures and, together with your people, move from ancient times to the present. So, you can start the game as the Maya, continue as the British, and finish as the Germans et al. And each faction has its own characteristics. Otherwise, this is a good global strategy with complex decisions, various events, battles, and the ability to create yourself as a leader in a detailed editor. With Imperiums, Greek Wars, you will once again travel to the distant past, this time to ancient Greece. Leading Athens, Sparta, or another powerful faction, you will lead the nation to glory and undeniable leadership, doing various things of the ruler. The feature of this game is the well-known myths, cleverly woven into the gameplay. Your generals can take a break from the wars between countries and go in search of the Golden Fleece, or to overthrow the Minotaur, revealing the truth about the legends of the Greek world. If your favorite game is not included in this list, write in the comments. Thanks for watching. Join this channel to get access to perks. Subscribe, watch our other videos, press thumbs up, turn on notifications, and you will always be aware of what to play today.